Hey guys, it's Caitlin. Welcome back to my channel. So this week we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to try my hand at a reading vlog. Now, I've tried these a couple of times in the past, but honestly they haven't actually included much reading. Oops. Now, I've just finished off a unit at uni, so I have the rest of the week off from my classes, and on top of that, I've also finished some small projects that I was doing for work, so I have several days off before I get into my new classes, so we're just gonna spend the whole time reading. I really don't know if this vlog is going to be anything exciting, so I'm apologizing in advance if it's not, because I feel like it's literally just going to be me reading, me talking about what I read, and then hey, this is what I'm reading next. I don't know what we're gonna do with this footage, but let's find out. Just for reference, the book that I'm currently reading is Corky by K.M. Newhold. I'll put up a photo of the book cover here. This is my second time rereading this book and I absolutely adore it. I read book 4 because it came out recently, and then I've actually been working my way backwards through the series, which is somehow even more fun. But we only have about 30 pages left of this book before I need to find something else to read, so let's get to it. What was that? Okay, so it's a couple of hours later now. I have finished reading Corky, but I was just taking a little bit of a break to reply to some work emails, and now we're stuck with the task of figuring out what to read next. Also, please excuse the mess over here in the background. I'm currently going through all of my camping equipment and just sorting out what to get rid of, so ignore that, please. I am considering reading Inside Affair by Ella Frank, just because I recently reread her Danger Zone trilogy that she wrote with Brooke Blaine. I've read it 3 times this year, and every single time I've loved it just as much as the first. I kind of have high hopes for it, but I downloaded a bunch of samples onto my Kindle last night because I knew this was going to happen today. So I think we're just gonna go through and read a couple of those and see what comes next. Please excuse this lighting. I'm using my phone torch because I can't be bothered getting up to turn the light on. I just finished reading Inside Affair by Ella Frank, and oh my god, I was getting so stressed towards the end of that because I'm thinking you cannot end a book. Like, we had so much left to go and the Kindle was saying that we were at 94% finished, and I'm going, hell no. I've already bought book 2, so oh my gosh. We are going to get to reading that like ASAP, but I just realized I've made a very bad mistake, which is starting yet another trilogy where book 3 has not yet been released, and at least with this one it comes out on the 28th, so I only have to wait a week or 2 to read this one, but like it's gonna be such a long 2 weeks. Alrighty, good afternoon. It's now Tuesday and I've been sitting outside for like the past 2 to 3 hours just finishing Breaking News, which is the second book in this, is it the Inside Affairs? No, that's not it. What's the series called? Oh, there's a spider up there. We're gonna stay away from that. I'm having a momentary blank on what this series is called. It's kind of driving me nuts not really being able to pick up book 3 straight away, but at the same time, book 2 ended on such a good note that I'm completely happy to wait for 2 weeks. I'm only worried that when I go to pick up book 3, I'm going to have forgotten things. It's not gonna read the same, if you kind of get what I mean. But yeah, being caught up in my reading, I forgot that I actually haven't eaten anything yet today, so I think I'm just gonna come back inside. I mean, I'm already inside, but I'm gonna get some lunch and then maybe go back outside. But we'll see, because this is one of the first like actual sunny and warm days that we've had in Melbourne, and my legs aren't handling up very well. Handling up? Holding up. They're not holding up very well. They're red already, and it's been like 2 hours. So let's hope we're not too burnt. We've also got a pussycat lounging in the sun today, don't we? Oh. What? Okay, before I get into the next book that I'm going to start reading, I just realized I haven't given really any synopses or anything for the books that I've been reading in this vlog so far. So with Inside Affairs, which is the book that I started reading last night, we're essentially following Alexander Thorne, who is this big news presenter, and he starts getting these threats sent to him from someone who's just sending like a really crazed fan, like their username is meant to be mine, and it's just really creepy and it's kind of freaking him out, and essentially his boss is like, you need 24/7 security, get me a name by tomorrow morning or you're stuck with whoever I give you. So he goes to his best friend's older brother, who is a detective with the Chicago PD, and just says, look, I need a name, can you recommend anyone for me? And The brother, who is Sean, says, I'll do it. The only problem is that Xander doesn't really want anyone knowing that he's got a bodyguard following him around all the time, so the cover story that they come up with is that Sean is going to pretend to be his boyfriend. Slight issue there is that Sean is straight. As we can already tell, I adored this book. It's got the fake relationship trope. It's kind of got an enemies to lovers thing going on here because they absolutely hate each other at the beginning of the book. Okay, well, hate is a strong word, but they don't exactly get along. We'll put it that way. So I am so stoked for book 3 to be coming out. I am so excited. Like, I cannot wait, especially with how book 2 ended. Like, drama. I need book 3. Okay, so before I completely lose my shit about how excited I am for this, I'm gonna go through my Kindle and just have a look at what other samples I have downloaded, but like none of them are really interesting me now because all I want is to read headlines. Okay, we're back and I figured out which ebook I'm going to read depending on if the sample is good. I was just reading through the blurbs again and this one has definitely caught my attention. So it's called The Experiment by Rebecca Rain. So it's a dual point of view from what I can tell. It does have quite a few tropes that I enjoy. So we have a friends to lovers. Oh, it's set in Australia. What? Does anyone else get like that? Like you read a blurb for a story and you just get so excited. So I'm just gonna read the little quick snippet of the blurb that I read before I decided I was going to read it because I feel like this just explains it much better than I ever could. Alright, so this is from Patrick's point of view, which is one of the main characters. I'm a what you see is what you get kind of man, and what you get happens to be straight. This is no mere opinion. It's a fact. Tried and tested. So when I end up kissing my best friend to satisfy a lost bet, I already know I'll hate every second of it until I don't. Okay, that already has me hooked. So I'm gonna get to reading the sample, and if it's really good, then we're gonna buy it. We've got a second pussycat out here. Hey, little one. Alright, so we're starting vlogging a lot later in the day today, but I haven't actually picked up my book much today. Today is the first day that I've left my house for something other than a physio appointment in months. It was so weird, like seeing other people in the flesh. But anyway, moving on. So we are currently at page 229 of 293 of The Experiment. It's going pretty well so far, and like I'm hesitating with that because there are times while reading it that I haven't been sure if I actually enjoy it or not. There are times where the characters really grab me and I'm completely absorbed in the story, and then there are other times where, you know, like a character will say or do something that kind of breaks that connection, if you know what I mean, and I feel like I'm not as in the world as I used to be. That's not to say that I'm not enjoying it. I am enjoying it. Like, there's no way this would be a DNF or something. It's just not going to be a 5-star read. It might not even be a 4, but we still have like 70 pages left to go, so we'll hold off that thought for now. I must say though, like there are so many lines in this book that are just really hitting me in the feels, but there are also like, this book is almost 300 pages. Now, I love it when romance books are almost 300 pages because it just means that we get to be in the world with these characters for so much longer. But with this particular book, like there have been so many times where I'm like, okay, so this would be the end of the book, right? Like how are we gonna get from here to 300 pages? And it's happened like 3 or 4 times already where I could have sworn like we could end the book here, but then something more happens, and it's like I don't quite know how I feel about that because I've never really had that with a book before, thinking we could potentially end it here without having more questions, you know? I feel I don't really know how to describe it, and I don't really know how I feel about it, but that's where we're at the moment. But let's just say that we're at a part where I could potentially start ugly crying, but at the same time, I could be really happy, and I don't know which way it's going to go, and I'm not a fan. I've been recording for like 15 minutes, and I've been on the verge of crying for like 4 of them. Here come the tears. Fuck, that hurt. Alright, so as you can probably tell by the lighting, it is several hours later, and I was going to vlog as soon as I finished the book, but then my dad came in like right as I turned on the camera, and I was like, oh, maybe not. I liked it, and I think I'll probably give it a 4 stars on Goodreads, but like it wasn't a favorite or anything. But what I really did like was the way that the book was set up. One of the main characters, Patrick, he's a researcher, and the way that they've set up the book is like a research paper. Got the introduction in the beginning, which is the prologue, and just kind of explains how everything happens. The research question, which is when Patrick starts to like question whether he's bisexual or not. So participants and methodology is pretty much where Logan says, I will like help you experiment and figure out if you are actually bisexual. You've got the data gathering, which is where, you know, all the romance starts to come in. And then you have the limitations of the study, which is where like all the climax and the problems start coming in. You have the data analysis, which is kind of like the solution to everything. You have the implications for future research, is the epilogue. And honestly, that is probably one of my favorite epilogues. Like, I am a sucker for like good makeup scenes, and this definitely had them. Like, I was definitely feeling it. Like, you know when sometimes you read like breakup and makeup scenes, you just feel it in your chest? Like, that was one of those books for me, and I feel like that's what bumped it up to a 4 stars. Otherwise it might have been a 3.5. It's now time to figure out what I want to read next. I just realized how awful this lighting really is. I am so sorry. I kind of think next I'm going to try the sample of Marry Me by Mia Monroe, just because it's got a fake engagement, and I love fake engagements. So essentially, guy number 1 doesn't really want to rock up to a wedding and come face to face with his ex and still be like single. So he asks his best mate, who is straight, if he can step up as like a fake fiance for him, but they start taking their lessons too seriously and it starts to feel too real. I can't read it anymore. The samples were pretty good. I was interested, so now I'm reading the whole thing. As you can probably tell, I've read a bit of an awkward scene. You know, and sometimes you read those scenes and you just have to put the book down for a second, and it's like, I cannot read this right now. Like, I need a second to collect my thoughts before we can get back into this. I should have known, like, this book is divided into different sections. I'm not too sure, like, if there's really any meaning behind it, or if it's just like different stages in their relationship maybe that we're doing it. But this particular one is called PDA and Butt Play. That should have been my first clue. All right, next day. It is now Thursday and it's about 2:15 in the afternoon. So we're starting this fairly late, but honestly, I didn't really get out of bed until late. And then I had a meeting at 1 o'clock, and now I have another meeting at 3 o'clock, and I have done absolutely nothing in the time since. So I ended up finishing Marry Me by Mia Monroe. I finished it this morning and it was pretty good. Like, the ending was so nice. It's one of those ones where the big like climax in the book isn't some drama. Like, there's no breakup and makeup, there's no cheating, there's no kind of big twist. It's really refreshing, because a lot of the books that I've read recently, the characters have separated due to some reason, whether it's like they're worried about cheating, or they're coming into their sexuality and they just need time to process, or just something goes wrong and the characters end up breaking up for a certain amount of time. But this wasn't one of them. This is just one where, you know, they're just sorting through their issues. And it's like, communication is key, people. We could solve all these problems if we just talked to each other. So yeah, it was really nice to read something like that. I was a bit on the edge of my seat because I was kind of waiting for a little bit of drama. Didn't get it, and I'm more than happy to say that. But we have moved on to another book. I'm just powering through. These aren't even books on my TBR, it's just books that have come up recommended in my Kindle, and I'm like, sure, why not? So at the moment, I'm reading the sample for Have Mercy by Christina Lee. So what I've gotten is it essentially follows Julian and Kerry. Julian is a veteran. He served 5 years in the military. He did 2 tours in Afghanistan, but he was honorably discharged, I think, on his last tour when a roadside bomb went off and killed several people in his squad. And so now that he's been home, he's been diagnosed with PTSD, and he just kind of needs to get out of the city for a while. So he goes down to Wyoming to his cousin's ranch, which is where Kerry comes in. So Kerry used to be married to Julian's cousin, but he came out as gay 3 years ago, and Julian thinks he's staying somewhat out of guilt, but also because they share a daughter and she's recently been diagnosed with leukemia. They're both kind of going through a lot of shit at the moment, and when they come together, we don't know what it is, but I'm excited to find out. Oh, this is depressing. Does anyone else get really emotional when you're reading those particular books where characters, they don't separate because of something that necessarily goes wrong, but simply because of like circumstance, or the timing just isn't right and there's nothing that they can really do about it? Because that's what I'm reading right now and my heart is like breaking. And the book is done, and this was honestly a really good read. It's definitely a slow burn romance, so if you do like slow burns, 100% pick this up, because I don't think you can get more slow burn than this, and I adored it. I absolutely love the characters in this book, and oh my god, I think I was honestly just like crying for the last 100 pages of that book. But anyway, I think I might end this vlog here. I'm just gonna have a bit of a fiddle on Goodreads and maybe make some new shelves and sort things around, because I've kind of been obsessed with doing that recently. But yeah, I'm gonna end this here because it's currently 10:40 on Thursday night and this vlog needs to go up tomorrow. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys with another video next week. See ya.